Google Forms can be a great way to have students complete a self-assessment that can tell students exactly what they need to do based off of their results. In order to create a Google Form, start by going to your Google Drive, then in the upper left, hit New, then More, then Google Forms. We're going to give ourselves a title, and then I like to click up in the upper left so that my title transfers. Google does not keep track of who answers Google Forms, so whenever we give a Google Form that we don't want to be anonymous, our first question should always be, what is your first and last name? Notice that Google will automatically recognize that this is a short answer. It will change that for me. Then in the bottom right, we should switch the required to on so that students have to answer that question. They cannot skip it. Let's take a look at my self-assessment. So like I said, it starts with what is your first and last name? And then I have a series of multiple choice questions. For each of these questions, I've typed out a scenario, and then I've asked people whether that applies to them never, sometimes, or multiple times. Each of these options corresponds to a number. So each time I typed in never, I typed in 1 never. Each time I typed in sometimes, I wrote 2 sometimes. And each time I typed in multiple times, I wrote 3 multiple times. These same principles of numbering your answer choices could also apply to a different style of assessment. So maybe you give a short 3-question assessment where each question has 2 answers. You could label your incorrect answers with 1, and you could label your correct answers with 2. So no matter how you're setting up your initial questions, your last question, in order to make this work, should also be a multiple choice question where you ask your students to tally up the number of points that they received on their previous questions and select those below. I had 14 questions in mine, so my low cutoff was 22 points. That meant that my learners had a mixture of 1 and 2 point answers. My middle point was a range between 22 and 35 points. That meant that they mostly got 2 points, with maybe some 1-point answers and some 3-point answers mixed in. And then my high point cutoff was over 35 points. That indicates that the vast majority of their answer choices, they responded with 3. Their answer to this last question will then produce a personalized message to them, telling them what they need to do based upon whether they selected less than 22 points, between 22 and 35 points, or over 35 points. That's where the Google Forms magic comes in. In order to give learners different directions based on their results, we're first going to have to add different sections. If I scroll down, you can see that I've already added 2 of my sections, but I still need to add my 3rd. To add a section, I'm going to click above where I want the section to go, and then I have this menu on the right-hand side. I want to select this bottom option, the 2 horizontal lines. That is my button to add a section. So I'm going to go ahead and press that, which is going to add a section down below where I was clicked. And this is going to be my section for my WOW level. So I'm lazy, so I'm going to copy paste and replace WOW. And I'm going to copy my directions here. And again, I'm going to replace where it said operational. I'm going to say WOW, WOW. Okay, so that's how I add in sections. So again, since I had 3 answer choices, I want 3 different sections. I labeled my sections as operational, WOW, and novice, but if I don't want to label it, I could instead type in something like, here's what to do next. And my kids won't feel like they're less than for getting, novice instead of operational, or operational instead of WOW. So that is another way that I could do it that will help protect my kids' feelings a bit more. So in the description, that's where I typed in the student directions. So in this instance, it says you are currently at the WOW level. Based off of your results, please complete the Blended Learning WOW Tic-Tac-Toe Menu Choice Board activity in our Day 1 Schoology folder. Alternatively, if they got operational, they're doing the operational tic-tac-toe menu. If they got novice, they're doing the novice tic-tac-toe. So there are different directions based off each of the 3 levels. So I have my 3 sections with my 3 sets of differentiated directions that tell my learners what they need to do. In order to give the students the correct directions, I'm going to scroll back up to the question where they had to tally their points, and I'm going to click into this question. Now, in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to click on these 3 little dots, and I'm going to select Go to Section Based on Answer. If the student scored less than 22 points, they are at the novice level, and I therefore want to direct them to my novice directions, which are in Section 2. So here's my section for less than 22 points. I'll tell them that they need to go to Section 2 for novice level. If they scored in the next level, they are operational, which is Section 3. So if they select the second option, I'm going to tell them to go to Section 3. And if they select over 35 points, they are WOW, which corresponds to Section 4. So I'm going to shoot them to Section 4 if they answer my total was over 35 points. Now, if that's all I do, what's going to happen is my novices are going to go to Section 2. They're going to see the directions saying that they're at the novice level. They're going to hit a next button. That next button is going to tell them you're at the operational level. Then they'll hit a next button. That next button is going to take them to the next section, which says you're at the WOW level. And it's going to be very confusing, and it's going to ruin any type of differentiation that I've tried to set up here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to scroll back up beneath Section 2. It says after Section 2, continue to next section, which again would be operational. I don't want that to happen. I want this to be the last thing they see. So I'm going to say after Section 2, submit form. Same thing for my next one. After they see that they're at the operational level, I'm going to say submit form. And by default, since there's no sections following, after they see the WOW message, the form is going to submit. So now my students will answer these questions. They'll tally their points. Their points will direct them to which of my 3 messages that they will see. And then after they see those personalized differentiated instructions, their form will automatically submit. So this is a great way to privately direct students to the learning that meets their current needs.